Welcome back to the Knotenkopp podcast. My name is Johanna and I live in the north of Germany, and I'm the knitter behind this podcast, the Knotenkopp podcast, where I talk all about my knitting, what I'm planning to knit and what I recently finished, and that's what we are doing today. I have a lot of finished objects for you because as with the beginning of every episode in the last year, I haven't podcasted for quite a while. But that doesn't mean I didn't knit a lot. Like, I think it's interesting. A lot of social media knitters are talking about like that their knitting is slowing down during the summer and they are least prone to knitting and do like other crafts or just total different hobbies. And for me, that is definitely not true. I do knit different things that you will see in a moment, but I definitely knit the same amount or maybe even more. I don't really know, since I knit different things, how to compare it, but yeah, since knitting is such a versatile hobby and you can basically take it to do anything, at least with all the things I like to do instead of knitting, it's like really works well together. And since I have an outdoor space now, this is my first summer with a terrace and living next to the river and stuff like that, I can just take my knitting outside and I don't feel like I'm missing summer and sitting inside and knitting, or I can take to the river for swimming and stuff like that. So that's really nice, and that's also the reason why I knit a lot and finished a lot of things. I wish I would have been able to podcast earlier, but yeah, obviously the summer is here, summer is nice, and I really wanted to enjoy it after not being able to do it really the last 2 years. So I wasn't really up for spending around 2 hours inside filming, but at some point I wanted to do it, or I had to do it, I feel like, because the finished objects are getting overwhelming. So and I love talking about my knitting to you, so today is the day, I guess. I'm also pretty aware that, like, with my most recent podcast publishing rate, I don't think I will be able to put in podcast out before I go on holiday in September, and I'm going for about 2 weeks, and it's very much planned around knitting. If you've been here 2 years ago, I went to the UK and basically planned my whole trip around my knitting. So I'm kind of doing this time as well. So I would shortly talk also about like what I'm planning on bringing on my trip with me, and I think with that we should get into it, and because there's a lot to talk about. So a few things I shared already on my Instagram, but not everything. So let's start with something you already know, which is my Olga jacket. It's finally finished. I will insert pictures because I already took some cute pictures. And I think also the color combination, I think it's all right. I can just see a little bit because I have a mirror placed behind my phone to actually see if I'm in frame. So I've knitted the Olga sweater before, really liked it, but I made it from a cotton, so it's a very different fabric, and this one is knitted in heavy merino by Knitting for Olive. The pattern is by PetiteKnit, as I think everyone who's on social media knows by now. Not only PetiteKnit, but also this pattern, because it's been very popular this summer and spring. And I've been wearing this over a month already, so it's been kind of battered, I guess. Like, there is so much porridge and coffee and other food spilled on this and worked into the fabric. It's probably due to be washed again or blocked again, but I think it held up quite well. I used a lot less yarn than her yardage or meterage recommendation. I mean, usually her meterage is quite, what is it like? Forgetting the word. There's more meterage than you actually need. But, and I also was of gauge, which I will get to in a second. But I also realized I've knitted the body a lot shorter. I've got a comment on my Ravelry asking why I needed so much less yarn, and it is because I think my body is 10 centimeters shorter, which I wasn't aware of because I don't knit lengthwise to any measurements from after you joined basically front and backs in sweaters or cardigans, and because I just knitted to the measurements of my body, and I am 1 meter and 58 centimeters, so I'm quite short, and I also have a short torso. So usually, obviously, my knits end up being shorter in length and also using less yarn in that department, especially because I have quite a big bust, so I usually choose a very big size for my like width wise for my height, but that then end up cropping it quite a lot. So the meterage obviously because the meterage is based on size charts, so if you knit like an extra large or something, that's also regarding a person who might be extra large in height, and that's obviously not what I am, just in width. But, and I mean, yeah, these are just standard sizing, so I usually can adapt to the meterage, and if she has like a range in her meterage, I usually go with the lower end because I know I don't need that extra meterage. So yeah, I put the measurements into my Ravelry. Width wise, I think I ended with 131 centimeters, which is just perfect for me. It gives me like 30 to 25 centimeters of positive ease, depending what time of the month my bust size is. But yeah, and it's like a very oversized fit, which I love, and it's been so easy to wear. Yeah, I mean, I haven't finished that many cardigans. I mean, I knitted a lot of cardigans, but mostly not for myself. I only finished the Maggie cardigan for myself, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, this has been a real game changer because it's just so easy to throw on, as it is with cardigans, surprise, surprise. But especially because it is just like a heavy merino, and it's quite sturdy, I would say. And for example, my Maggie cardigan is a fingering merino held with a mohair, so it's more delicate, I would say. There is also a more fitted fit, and this is like more relaxed. I feel like this I can basically do anything with, and we had like a lot of different weather temperatures over the last few weeks, like from basically 15 degrees to 32 degrees. Everything was in the game, in the mix, basically. Like we had weeks of rain, and we had like basically very dry heat, very humid heat, everything. And obviously I wasn't wearing this with 32 degrees, but like even on warm summer days, I am able to just throw this on when I sit in the shadow or lounge around the house. And yeah, it definitely proved to me the point that I need to knit more cardigans, even though I don't enjoy them. But I have also one in my whips, which is closer to getting finished than I was hoping for. So, and one thing that really stood out for me was that I found like these very, very perfectly matching buttons, and they were like from my mom's button stash, which I got when she stopped like knitting and sewing. I also have them in smaller sized, and yeah, I love them, and I think they are so fun on the like Bordeaux dark button band. I also modified the button band the same as I did with the Maggie cardigan, because who does get the way PetiteKnit does her button bands? with these kind of constructions in rope, she does it with a yarn over, and I am not able to get any bigger buttons through that, like no way. And so I do it differently. I have quite detailed descriptions in my project notes, and also on my what is it, like Maggie cardigan, it's the same. So anything else, it does peel a bit. I don't know if you can, is it anywhere visible? I guess here, this is like the most, but I'm quite pleased with someone who wore this like for a month every day. It held up really well, and I was like lounging on my sofa where it had like a lot of friction and stuff like that, wearing it to work, etc. So I am definitely knitting for Olive Heaven Merino again. I really enjoyed it. I really like the dry feeling. Obviously the color range is amazing, and yeah, and I think it will hold up quite nicely. And if you've been here like a few podcast episodes from the start, not from the start, if you've been here like a few podcast episodes ago, when I chose you the yarn, I wasn't really sure about the colors, but I really like them. And even though I think they are like more autumnal colors with the green, and because this color is fennel seed and this is Bordeaux, they look really great with like whites, and I do wear a lot of white in the summer, so that has been really, really nice. So yeah, very pleased. Also Hanan has finished also her Olga sweater, and like her color combination makes me want to do a third Olga, which I definitely need to pause on that at the moment, because I definitely see a third Olga in my wardrobe. I think there's always space for a striped sweater, but I don't think I need to make it straight away. Like, I think I should maybe focus on something else at the moment. So, and this is definitely filling a gap in my wardrobe. Okay, what else? The next thing I finished, I mean, not in the order, but this is my IVT by Sandnes Garn. I knit this in a summer yarn by the fabric brand Selfmade, and their yarn collection is called Freya or Freya, and I don't know, I think maybe it's Freya Lavish or something, and it's a blend of silk and bamboo viscose, so it's very soft and very drapey. This is such a joy to knit with, and I've knitted a different garment with this last summer, the Sevilla blouse, I think, by PetiteKnit. Didn't like the fit and unraveled it, washed the yarn, and knitted something totally new. I love this. This is like the perfect summer, I mean, or transitional garment for me, especially for work. It's been amazing because it's it has quite a deep yoke and it's very flowy, which is nice, especially because I don't want anything for summer that touches my underarm. Is it underarm? Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it's just, I don't know, I'm a sweaty girl, I don't want that. Or if I want that, I would rather wear something that I can put in the washing machine without thinking. And I mean, these are plant fiber, no, silk is not a plant fiber, but I guess you can wash silk in the washing machine on very delicate cycles, but obviously it's not a fiber made to put through a lot of washing. But it's still nice to be able to put it on a like sensitive cycle or something. I will get it up because I haven't taken pictures. This is like a very flowy fabric, which you would expect from something being like silk and bamboo. The thing is, okay, where do I start? Okay, I talked about the construction in my last episode. So this is a Sandnes Garn pattern that you can only get with the yarn. I shared, I think, a few podcast episodes ago that you can order it from a website, a German website, I think, without the yarn. They determined this now. Is it determined? No, but like you are not able to do that anymore. So I will leave a few recommendations of alternative patterns which are very, very similar in the description box. I think Knitting for Olive, I will put in some pictures, has like I think 3 or 4 like 3/4 sleeve shirt patterns with mohair, with other fibers, etc., that are easily adaptable to make this, because this pattern is also written for a chunky mohair or fingering weight wool with a mohair. So me knitting this with a summer fiber was also a modification kind of. And obviously if you want to get the yarn and the pattern, I can recommend it. It was a very good pattern and I love the fit, but I don't think you need it if you don't want to get the yarn. I think there are great alternatives out there. So regarding the construction, I was very confused in the beginning because this is a contiguous sleeve construction, but it is sitting as a dropped shoulder. So the line of the contiguous sleeve is here, which is obviously dropped. And with most contiguous sleeves, you have the line here, as you can see in commercial clothing. Additionally to that, I mean, the construction is similar to what I know, for example, from the Poppy Tea and Maggie cardigan, but because you have a dropped shoulder or dropped seam, I guess, the sleeve cap is knitted very, very flat. This is the only way I can describe it, so it doesn't bunch up, like, because it isn't sitting here, like where usually a contiguous sleeve, you don't need to shape that upper arm because it's sitting down here and this part is knitted very flat. Yeah, that's that. Additionally, you have a lot of like back shaping, which I talked a bit about in my last podcast episode and was kind of confused by it, but it means that this shoulder part comes up really high, which is nice. Like usually sometimes with t-shirts, the cutout of the neck in the back can be quite low, and because of the extra shaping here, it comes up very high, which is really, really nice. I'm considering putting an elastic in this because since the fabric is so drapey, it just drags down. It lengthened already quite a lot, and I think it will over time. Though my experience is with things that you can put on a cycle, especially for example with cotton, my cotton clothing doesn't grow because in the cycle when like spinning it like with 800 kind of, it shrinks again. Like most of them are smaller than before I knitted them and not bigger, and not because of the heat or anything, just because I guess the water being drained out of them. So I'm hoping this might happen with this as well, but I'm fine with it as well. And obviously it's easier to take out length afterwards rather than adding them in the end. Yeah, so I'm really happy with like the deep yoke. Obviously for all contiguous sleeve you start at some point a raglan construction, like the raglan increases, but you are not able to see it because it's hidden usually at your underarm. I have a lot of positive ease. I don't know the measurements out of my head at the moment, but yeah, like I said, it's really nice because it's so flowy, it's so lightweight, it's really, really soft. It's also very moderate, obviously, but I can dress it up, I can dress it down. It's a really, really nice project. What else is there? Yeah, I think that's all regarding that. But what I wanted to say is I was originally thinking about knitting this with a hand spun, not by me, hand spun white yarn or cream yarn, which I'm still considering, but I wasn't, like, in the heat waves we had, I wasn't really up for knitting with that, and I decided maybe I should prioritize knitting in the summer with the summer fibers, which are easily or more easy to knit outside during a heat wave, while I tend to knit with warm fibers anyways during all the other seasons. But I was very much tempted to get extra or a third kind of quantity of yarn for this kind of pattern, because I saw that my local Lana Grossa store had this color of Ecopuno. It's coming off brighter than it is actually, on sale. It's the color 81, and yeah, it's a lot. It's more like that color, I guess. It's a rust color, I guess. And they had it on sale, so I was like, great. And I think Ecopuno, I'm not the biggest on all the Lana Grossa yarns, especially like their merinos and stuff. Like most of them are super wash, and so I tend to prefer from other brands. But I do really like the Ecopuno, and I think it's crazy because Ecopuno is probably the only yarn that has even a bigger color range than Knitting for Olive. Like, it's insane how many shades they have, and it's something I knitted quite early on in my knitting journey. Ridiculously enough, I made socks from this yarn, which is probably the most unsuitable sock yarn you can ever find, but I didn't know things. Like, I only saw, oh, you can knit it with a similar size needle. I don't know. So I don't know if you don't know it. It's 50 gram, 250 meters. So it has quite a lot of meterage. And it's 72% cotton, 17% merino wool, and 11% alpaca. So it's kind of similar, like a thin blown yarn. What is it, like Isaga EcoSoft and stuff like that. But it's obviously very, very thin. And yeah, the color range is great, but I think it's also a very soft and nice yarn. And since you can knit it on 4 to 4.5 needles for a kind of fingering kind of yarn, I think it's quite versatile. Probably I'm going to be off gauge for this pattern because I think this has more of a 20-21 stitch gauge, and here it says 24, but I'm just gonna recalculate it. And obviously, this being kind of a blown woolly fiber has a obviously different fit than this, maybe a little bit more structured, which I'm looking forward to. And I think I really like this color on me, so looking forward to this. Next up, I also am during summer knitting not only with a lot of like more summery fibers, plant-based fibers, but also prefer knitting kids things. I did it last summer. Obviously, we were expecting my nephew, who was born in October, so I was knitting a lot of like baby clothing for him, and now I'm knitting a lot of like toddler clothing, I guess, like 1 to 3 years old. He's turning obviously 1 this autumn, and baby things are great because especially like similar to an accessory, you are really easily able to carry them around. And as I mentioned, I take my knitting, especially during summer, to a lot of like activities where you don't want to carry a massive hand knit sweater or something, and you also don't want to have a hand knit sweater on your lap when you're sitting at the river swimming. It's just not easy. So I prefer knitting baby things. They are obviously very satisfying because they're easily finished, and I'm still knitting through my stash. I still have so much yarn, scraps and leftover yarns and stuff to knit for him, but I also got a few bits on sale and stuff, so I do enjoy that. And I have like, I think the next 10 projects planned out for him without needing to buy any yarn, because it's just leftovers from sweaters of mine or sock yarns that I don't want to knit socks anymore with, and it's just it's so creative and fun. So I have no idea how this pattern is called. I think I need to... Hackett sweater. That's what it's called. The Hackett sweater, and I forgot her name. This is a really interesting pattern. because similar, if you know the Tolsta collection of the Kriya Bear, where she able to, I guess, to modify your own knits, and this is the same. The designer has it for baby, kids, and grown-ups, which I find amazing, but it comes with a price. I do find it was worth my money, but the pattern for the baby size was 16 euros, I think, or 15 or 16, which is obviously nearly double the price what you regularly pay for a knitting pattern. But I think with what you get for it, it was definitely worth my money, because I was looking for easy raglan sweater in a DK gauge, which had like that oversized look. And she shares on her Instagram a lot of like very cute baby pictures or kids pictures, which have like that really oversized sweater on them. And that was exactly what I was looking for. I mean, it's a raglan construction, so it's quite plain and easy. So there's nothing advanced about it. It has a bit of a short row, but what really stood out for me, she has a whole side page on in her pattern where she basically calculates for different gauges when you knit that size what size it will come out, basically, like which is just amazing. Obviously you can do that on your own if you are past 4th grade math in high school or something, but it's really, really easy for me to just, because I base a lot of my baby patterns or kids patterns on the yarn that I have, since I don't particularly buy most of the time yarn for it. And so I can just look in, like, I know what kind of meterage I have. For example, with this, I had a full skein of 400 meters sock yarn, or 420 or something. So I look in the table and see, okay, I can knit size 4 or something, and with 420 meters. And if I knit it on this gauge, I can get that size. So in this case, I held like the self-striping sock yarn with just a denim blue normal, also a sock yarn. And obviously I decided to change up the neckline with a different color that I also had left over. And I think this might be now 18 or 24 months size, I guess. I mean, it's an oversized, so he could wear it for quite a range. I put it on him to see if when I knit like more of these sweaters now, if it is still fitting him, because he's quite a big little boy. And what did I want to say? It's already fitting him, but it's really, really oversized, like you have to fold over the sleeve. So yeah, I also mostly I did alternate. No, is it like, I don't think what I did is helical knitting, but every second or third row I alternated the self-striping yarn, and I only had pooling up here. But I think it's also quite funny. It looks like this sycamore sweater by PetiteKnit, like an intentional kind of zigzag stripe. But this is the front, and I think it's a bit cuter. But yeah, so I used up basically 2 skeins of sock wool and a little bit for the neckline. And that's a really easy and mindless way to use up my sock yarns for baby knits. And yeah, it's machine washable like all sock wool. And I used intentionally, this is tin merino wool by Sandnes Garn, which is a super washed softer yarn on the neckline and on the cuffs, so it's not that scratchy around his neck, because I don't know yet if he is sensitive to wool, but he doesn't seem to. Like, my sister puts him into everything. On that kind of topic, I also knit him a jumpsuit. I also don't know the pattern and the design of this, but it will be on the screen as everything. Oh, I forgot to put in the price tags. So my Olga was about 60 euros, because I got the yarn for this on the sale last December, when they had like this Advent Christmas sale kind of thing. I think on a regular price it would be like 70 or 80 euros or something. This I think is like maybe 30 or 35 euros. I will have put it on the screen. I haven't calculated it because I haven't weighed it yet. And I bought this yarn like 1.5 years ago. This was basically from Stash, so basically 2 sock skeins. And this was also from all of Stash, and it's this little Dungarees, I guess. Oh, it's opening up. There was a free pattern which I based it on, and yeah, I especially wanted to use that turquoise merino wool, which I bought for a different baby years ago, but didn't decided against knitting for it. And I really don't like this turquoise. It's like kind of a minty color. I think it will look very cute on my nephew, but it's just not something that inspires me. So I was like, and I had this odd quantity and didn't want to make like just a singular like turquoise minty sweater. So I decided to add stripes, and they are like this Bordeaux color, brown grayish color, and also the same white that is in here. Still have some left. The Bordeaux and the brown grayish are sock yarns until here, I guess. That's where I think I ran out of the Bordeaux and used the leftovers from my Olga Jacket, so the heavy merino, but it worked out fine. So you knit them bottom up with a folded hem, I guess. And I think the instructions might be for leaving them open in the crotch area and having buttons there. I didn't do that. I just knitted in around the legs with the stitch number, and yeah, then cast on stitches for the crotch, joined everything in the round, and basically knitted the stripes until I ran out of the brown grayish color, and then continued with just the turquoise. And I found these like really cool buttons. I don't know if they focus. Doesn't seem like it, but they're like this mild Bordeaux and white color, so exactly the 2 colors of one of the few stripes. Actually, my friend Paulina found them for me in the Selfmade store, because they have a great button selection. So yeah, this is really cute. I have to say, I put it on him, and I knew kind of that the cutout for the sleeves, or for the arms basically, was already a bit short, and I already lengthened it while blocking it, because I tried it on him unblocked, and this is nearly all superwashed yarn. I think the measurements are a bit off. Like, if you can see, like, this is like, I don't know what size this is, like 2-3-year-old or something. This is huge. And I think the sizing doesn't go beyond 2 years, I think, in the pattern. It's a free pattern, so it might be, and there aren't really a lot of like measurements given. I have no idea. Like, he will fit it at some point, I guess. This is how my take on baby knits is. But I was considering knitting more of these. It also has like I-cord edging all around the sleeve armholes and the neckline, but I don't think I will make one more, because I don't know if the measurements are really fitting him that well, because like I said, it's very long for very small sleeve hole or armholes, I guess, and obviously at some point they start growing a lot in length and not in width. And also, like, when I do think of like a 3-year-old, they have very skinny arms, but still, this is really not a lot. So yeah, that's finished, and I'm really glad that I finally managed to get most of that turquoise yarn out of my stash. I also finished this little guy, which is crochet monkey. And yeah, he was made from scraps, as you can see. Each body part has a different color, and the body in itself is also striped. And just because I posted him on Instagram in my stories, and people, I think, didn't get how big he is. Like, he is seriously big. Like, he is the same height of my whole upper body. Like, I don't know if you're able to see this. And also in comparison, this was the donkey. Like, he is massive. But I mean, I made the third size, but the third size is supposed to be on 5mm hook. And oh, so it's from Edward's Menagerie animal book, and I got that book and are currently crocheting a lot of the animals. And yeah, but I only had a 6mm hook at that point, so it might be a bit between the third and the fourth size. I also never measured gauge because it's like a stuffed animal. Yeah, it's really, really cute, especially like you supposed to be able to hang him also on his arms, like he's kind of climbing from tree to tree. And I also made him this little vest, which I still need to block because it's rolling up a lot. And yeah, and the vest is nice because you don't have to put it over his giant head. So yeah, really cute. Don't really know yet what to do with it, but I'm also really glad that I finally used up so many scraps. And also in him, there are a lot of like teeny tiny scraps of projects to put to be filled. Just the head is all filled with like poly filling, I guess. Filling is really expensive. I wasn't aware of that. Okay, that's that. Oh my god, there are so many finished objects. We are not even have finished half of it. And it's like already, I think, 40 minutes or something. It's insane. I also made my sister for her 30th birthday a bag. If you remember, I already made her a few years ago a cardigan, a mohair cardigan, which her fiance ruined in the washing machine. So I am very hesitant to make her anything clothing wise anymore. Obviously my nephew is getting a lot of things, but they are mainly super washed, and I'm not that heartbroken if my scrappy baby projects are getting ruined in the washing machine instead of a hand-dyed mohair silk cardigan. So I decided to make her a bag. She is like vacationing a lot, like at Ibiza and Mallorca, so I think like a little like BG bag kind of matches her aesthetic. She's also someone who has small bags. Like I never have small bags with me. So I decided to make her the Julia bag, which I've seen on those twins who knit, and it's by Mochi Knits. And it's a very cute bag. She made it by Isaga Japansk Bomull, which is just Japanese cotton basically, which feels like raffia, like paper kind of. And you don't need a lot for that bag. Like if you pull a third strand from the second, like there's this technique to get a free strand, to get 3 strands from one skein basically, which is very easy. You are able to do it with two skeins of yarn, which is like a total price of 15 euros. But what I wanted to do, because it's kind of a floppy bag, to do some lining, which was a lot of fun. Like I went with a friend fabric shopping and found this very like floral, pastel-y, tropical looking fabric, which I lined it, and I basically just sewed a bucket. You need to be aware that the outside of that sewn bucket is visible through that stitch pattern of that bag. So I chose intentionally a cotton, which was first of all very sturdy, but also had a wide wrong side, which was therefore visible a little bit through the stitches of the knitted bag, if that makes any sense, because I chose the same color as the designer, which is I think color 40, and it's like this dirty lemony color, but if you have like a darker fabric peeking through the knitted stitches, it looks even dirtier. Like, I think it's a really cool color, but I think it's also like, I think it works a lot, for example, with my sister who wears a lot of like pastels and whites and light blues and stuff. So I think therefore it matches. Oh, I still have this much left. Yeah, and that's really great. Like, if you use just 2 boards, and I knitted it totally to the measurements of the instructions of the pattern, you only have this kind of ball left over, which was really, really nice. Because like, what else will you do with something like that? Just bags. Like, don't think you would knit anything else with like this kind of cotton. And yeah, my sister, I gave it to her yesterday, and she discovered that the bag is actually totally reversible, because you can just push the lining outside and then you have a different bag, which is obviously cute. I didn't think about that. Yeah, and yeah, it's been a nice gift. She was really happy. Actually, she didn't really realize that it was handmade. She thought I bought her a cute little bag, which is obviously a big compliment, and speaks to also the pattern. I think the instructions in the pattern are amazing. Like, I was amazed by it. She has basically for each step pictures of how to knit the stitch or the construction of that, and for each step, a video on her YouTube, which is insane, and it was great. But I hated knitting it. Obviously this kind of fiber has no stretch. It's very yeah, hard on the hands. Additionally to that, you knit with 3 strands, and this stitch you're knitting to create basically the height. The bottom is just knit in stockinette in the round, but is so hard on the hands, and I was a little bit annoyed at myself because it basically copies what crocheting looks like, and I am able to crochet. I can crochet a bag, so I think in retrospect I would have rather crocheted the bag than knitted it. But the pattern is great. The bag is very cute. It looks very polished. Like, I mean, my sister thought it was bought. So I can recommend it in that regard, but be prepared that the stitch is very hard on your hands. And I think if I didn't want to gift it to her, I would have stopped and abandoned the projects after 3 rows or something, because it was that horrible. So you shouldn't maybe pressure knit this for a gift or for an event or something, because I think it's also a cute bag for a wedding or special event or something. But maybe start it a year before and then knit 2 rows each month or something, because it was just that horrible to knit. Okay, we still haven't reached the end of this. I'm so sorry. I also knitted Camisole number 10 in this crazy yarn, which I don't even know what the name of the yarn is. I have to put it on the screen. So Camisole number 10 is by My Favorite Things Knitwear, and this is very off gauge. So the Camisole number 10 is, I think, an 18 stitch gauge, I think, and I have no idea what gauge this is, but it's basically knit with a sport fingering weight kind of yarn. It's a cotton and nylon blend, and I think it's not visible on this anymore, but in the hang form it looked kind of like spin cycle yarn. So it was 2 or 3 different colors spun together. And sadly I think it kind of got lost in the fabric. So the back or the front, I mean, it is reversible, it looks a little bit different. And what I'm really bothered about, obviously, and I thought about it ahead of time, that the striping changed so much when I joined in the round. And obviously I could have knit that flat, but who wants to knit that flat, seriously? And I'm not considering it, like I'm planning on over dyeing this, because especially like I think the yellow looks really nice up here when it's like fading into the orange and the darker, moodier colors, but here it just looks a little bit poisonous. I think it's a little bit too neon yellow, and the striping a bit too stripy, I guess. And I bought like dark red dye, because I mean these are very autumnal colors, and I don't hope to over dye the striping at all, but just make it a little bit less contrasty. I have worn this to work, I think, as everyone and their mother realized this kind of cut, this kind of fit is really great for every occasion. I have a few like store-bought tops like this, which I love, so it was just a question of time, or a matter of time until I would knit something like that. And I also have yarn for a second one. I got this 100% silk yarn by Lana Grossa in this, like, I think it reminds me of raspberries, but I looked up the Pantone name of the color, and I mean there are a few shades that match, but I think the color that was standing out the most for me was lychee, which I think I would never thought about it, but I think it actually matches like the color of the outside of a lychee. I think at least that's how you say it in English, at least that's what we call this fruit. And yeah, so I'm planning on knitting this. I'm also really obsessed with this color at the moment. Like, I have some yarn in different color. This is more orange, but it also is similar family. It's like this kind of muted but still like saturated summery color. So yeah, I think I'm going to cast this on next, because I still have a Camisole number 10 on my needles currently, which we will get into a second. So if I over dye this before I publish this podcast, I will put it on the screen, but I don't think I will do it in the next few days. Okay, my last finished object is a pair of shorts, and these are the the Lotta shorts. It's the Lotta Pants pattern by lesfillesducouer, and I modified it to be shorts. I bought this kind of yarn. This is also Lana Grossa yarn, Puro Vegano, because it was on sale. They have a big sale section in my Lana Grossa store, and it was one of the few fibers, summery fibers, machine washable fibers, that I could find that are able to be knit on 6mm needles, because I think a lot of summer yarns are often finer. And I think this is kind of like a chain knit fiber. I don't know the blend at the moment, but I know it's poly and cotton, I think, and Tensor or something. And I very spontaneously decided to knit myself a dress for a festival that I went with some friends, and I had like 48 hours. Surprise, surprise, I didn't finish a dress in 48 hours. I basically managed to finish a crop top. Not this, like it was a lot longer. I unraveled it already. And then I wore the crop top to the festival, and afterwards I unpicked the bind off and continued knitting it to a dress. And when I don't know, reached hip length, I guess, I realized that the fit of the dress, I wanted kind of an A-frame dress, wasn't really working out, because this is a very drapey fabric. I mean, it has tencel in it, so it was kind of obvious, and it didn't have that A-frame structure. So I decided, okay, instead of a dress, I could make a two-piece. I could make myself shorts and a top. So I started knitting the shorts, but I was playing a lot of yarn chicken and I was really worried it wouldn't work. I cast on straight from the body of the shorts and didn't do, like the pattern says, the Bündchen. I don't know how this is called. No, the band, I guess, the waistband. And I started knitting the first leg and tried it on, and it looked horrible. It was like giving me 2000 teenage anxiety because it was tight, stripy, low-rise hot pants, which are, I don't know if you were a mid-sized teenager in the 2000s, the thing that was the shit, but probably the most unflattering thing for your body that ever was there. And I mean, if you feel comfortable in it, that's great. But I think there are fits that I prefer my body a lot more. So I went back, unraveled the first leg, which obviously isn't a lot, and made the crotch basically about 7 centimeters longer. I think all in all the crotch is 31 centimeters in my case, and I think it's continuously growing because this is a very stretchy fabric. And then knitted the legs to the length I wanted. I think a lot of the comments, or my knitting friend Paulina told me, who's also knitting the pants, that in the comments of the pattern a lot of people say that the crotch is very low rise, and you can also see it in the pattern pictures, I guess, and it's also very tight fitting, and I didn't want that. So I just increased more, so I have more flowy and not tight fitting shorts, which was what I wanted. They're also really high-waisted. And then I picked up the stitches for the bottom band again and knit the bottom band, and not the bottom band, the waistband. As you can see, it's a different kind of fiber. It was a cotton that I had left over, and since I was thinking I'm playing yarn chicken, I didn't want to use the red. I think I have enough yarn, so I should have used the red, especially because you can see the elastic through the bottom band quite a lot because the gauge is still open. But I don't mind it because if I'm wearing like a top with this, it's covering the bottom band anyways because it's so high waist, so I'm not going back. And also, like, I mean, I'm wearing these shorts out. I do feel comfortable in them, but they are definitely more loungewear for me. And also this fabric won't hold forever. This is like not very high quality yarn, I guess, and not very hard wearing. And for example, when I wear a bag and it's rubbing on, I guess, the backside of my waist or hips, it also roughs up the fabric quite a lot. So I need to be aware of that, what I carry with me. And with that, we will get into whips because, as I said, I'm knitting the matching top to it. And I finally joined in the round. So like I said, I already knitted a top, but it was very, very oversized. I had 30 centimeters positive ease on a camisole. What was I thinking? And so I unraveled it and cast on, I think, 4 sizes smaller because this is very off gauge. Like I think I have a like 14 or 15 stitch gauge on 6mm needles, so this is also why it's going by really, really fast. But I'm really looking forward to have this very cute set. Like I think it's perfect for at the pool, which I'm going to this autumn, and also lounging around at the river or on my terrace. I mean, I would go out for coffee and ice cream in this as well, but maybe not to work. I think it's not really work appropriate in my case, but I think it's a very fun, and it's so funny because it basically looks like a watermelon. And I also have a swimsuit which is the color of the outer skin of a watermelon. So like every time I'm knitting on this, when I'm sitting by the water, I look down and like I see a full watermelon. And I think what is more fun than look like a watermelon during the summertime? So, I mean, it's a kind of a fun, silly knit, I guess. Not that practical and based on long time wearability, but sometimes you need to do like knit also silly things. Okay, that was my first whip. I am also knitting on a baby knit at the moment, surprise surprise, and it's the I hope it's not too bad with the church bells. I am currently knitting is it the back? I have no idea what the front and the back is in this. I think it doesn't have any short rows. the Friday sweater baby version by PetiteKnit, and it's a broken rib pattern. And I shamelessly copied this color combination from someone on Instagram. And this is obviously very stretchy, like it will grow a lot when I block this. Yeah, and it's very, very cute. And I'm surprised because it's knit on fingering weight yarn on 3mm needles. And I'm enjoying it a lot. It's really, really enjoyable knit. Don't know if I would have the patience to knit myself a grown-up version, but especially for kids and babies, I think it's a very cute knit. And even though it's fingering weight, I'm really always looking forward to knitting on it. The stitch and the stripes are really entertaining. So yeah, really, really nice and cute. Obviously it takes some time, but I'm fine with that. No idea what size I'm knitting. It's all based on the yarn, on the meterage I have. And I think the blue is again self-made Freya, some superwash merino, and the red is self-made Freya alpaca yarn that I had in stash. I'm not, I think it's machine washable. I think it said 30 degree, but it didn't say explicitly that it is super washed, but I think I'm fine if it's both 30 degrees washable. I think it should be right. So this is my travel project at the moment, and the thing I am planning on making some progress on, since I finished like most of my big knits and just currently knitting on this camisole and trying to finish like my summer fibers, is this big boy. I don't even know if you remember this. Is this blurring out? I think you can kind of see the texture. This is the Würfel cardigan, which translates to, or no, it's, I think, cardigan with Würfelmuster, so kind of like cardigan with dice pattern, which is like this kind of checkerboard textured pattern, and it's from Lana, Grossa, Nordic Knits 1 magazine. This pattern is horrible. I started it 1.5 years ago, and the instructions are just lacking. And the best, additionally to that, I decided to modify the shit out of this, which wasn't helping, obviously. But I finally finished the body, and I think the end is in sight, I guess. So I won't go into why. I think I ranted a lot about how horrible I find these Lana Grossa instructions of the patterns. But I finished, I think last time you saw it, I finished the front panels of the cardigan, and I finished the back panel, and did a 3 needle bind off at the top. Oh, maybe not with the strand in front, to give it a bit more structure, because there's a lot of weight pulling on this. So I didn't do Kitchener stitch, would be the alternative. And I already have buttons, like these wooden buttons. And I think I'm going to do a double knitted buttonment. I went back and forth to decide if I wanted to have a ribbed buttonment or double knitted buttonment, but I think there's a lot of texture already going on, so I think some corn with a stockinette double knitted buttonment would actually suit this a lot, and I have a lot of yarn. So yeah, my next step is going to pick up the stitches, because in the pattern you knit the button band with the body of the cardigan, which I didn't do because I steeped it. So I made my life a lot harder than it needed to be. But yeah, I think it's going to be glorious once it's finished. And as I mentioned, I need more cardigans in my wardrobe. And then the sleeves are quite easy because they are just straight big sleeves until the ribbing, and they kind of have that balloony effect therefore. But I wanted to finish all or most of my summery knits before I went back to this, and obviously this is not the project you take to going to the public pool or something. This is like a very stay-at-home project, but you also kind of need better light situation to knit on it, because this texture is quite, not complicated, but not very memorizable, is it a word? Like, I can't knit it from my head, so I always need to look at the chart. But it would be really nice to have that finished in this autumn, so I'm trying to power through. Oh, I think we are over an hour. That's not good. Okay, that's it. I think I have a lot of cast on plans, so we will get into that. Like I said, camisole number 10 in the silk, maybe. Oh, I think there was a moth. Maybe another IVT in Lana Grossa, but I could imagine, because it's very autumnal color, that I wait until I am back from my holiday in September. I won't go into all the baby knits I'm planning, because they will come out when they will come out, basically. It's just, I'm very spontaneous. But I am planning, like, I'm going to Vienna and South Tyrol for 2 weeks. And I booked myself 8 days at a hotel with a pool. And I'm really looking forward to lounging at the pool, knitting all day and looking at the Alps and not doing shit and listening maybe to my audiobook. And if I want to, I can go for a hike, I can visit places, but if I don't feel like it, I can also just chill at the pool, which I'm very excited for. And yeah, and obviously I'm very excited for Vienna as well. I have never been. And I might hit up some yarn stores there, but I really don't need more yarn. Like, I might take a souvenir skein or something, but I'm not really looking for sweater quantities. But since I'm going on holiday, the important thing is I'm going there by train. I'm taking first a night train from the north of Germany to Vienna, which I'm really excited for. And then I'm taking one to the south of Tyrol. Then I'm also going to Salzburg and then back. So it's like, I don't know, probably 36 hours train rides or something. So a lot, I do enjoy train rides. That's why I choose to go on holiday like this. But that means a lot of knitting time, additional to all the pool time I'm going to have. So obviously I need to plan ahead of what I'm taking with me, because the worst thing a knitter can happen on holiday is when you run out of knitting. So I have like a 3-part plan, which I also did in the UK, or my UK trip, which was my last big holiday, which worked really, really great. And that is like, take an at-home project, like when you're at your apartment or hotel or whatever, take an engaging project and take a small travel project. And I mean, not travel like on a 16-hour train ride kind of project. There you can knit whatever you want, but like, you have half an hour at a train station and need to kill the time, the little thing you can take out. In the UK I had a little sock project, and this time I'm thinking of doing again a little bandana in this very nice green color, which I love. You've seen on this channel before, and I forgot the name again, but I'm planning on doing one of the Paulastrickt bandanas that I mentioned in the past. And I think it's a small mindless project I can just whip out in between trains, or if I'm doing a day trip, which won't take up much space in my backpack or my tote bag or something. Because that's also the thing, like if I'm doing a day hike, don't want to take my sweater project with me, but obviously you want to take some knitting, because be prepared, whatever can happen. But so that's my choice of small travel project. Obviously I'm taking, I mean, I don't have luggage regulations in trains, which is also a really nice reason to travel by train, but I obviously need to carry my luggage, and I am a huge person. If you can't lift your luggage, you shouldn't take that much luggage. So, and I'm not a very strong and big person, so I need to be aware of the size of my project, and obviously it would be nice to take like a, I don't know, DK worsted weight sweater amount. That would take up a lot of space in my luggage, so I won't do that. So I decided to go for the Samsø sweater by Knitting for Olive. I already have that pattern and I have the yarn for it for quite a while. But I'm thinking of changing it up a bit. So it's like a 2-colored striped sweater, and I originally had in mind to knit it in these 2 colors. So this kind of butter yellow that I knitted a t-shirt in a few years ago, but unraveled it, and I bought for this sweater the navy by Sandnes Garn. So it's both Sunday by Sandnes Garn. But when I looked at my stash, I realized I didn't buy enough yarn. Somehow I only bought like 4 skeins and I needed at least 5, and I really don't want to buy more. I think also don't have enough of yellow, so I don't know if I really want to knit more. And so I went like, okay, maybe I could like just add other colors, because I have a lot of like this kind of yarn, which is like fingering merino non-superwash. I really like to get like single skeins in single colors, and I tried swatching. I have this cream color by, is it cream? Yeah, it's the color cream by Knitting for Olive. I have the red, which is the red of my Maggie cardigan, also Sandnes Garn Sunday, and I think I started here. So this is my cast on. Tried first with a white stripe, then I decided I needed a red stripe, and then I was like, even though it's a dark navy, it's giving a bit German flag. I don't know if you see it, maybe I just see it, which isn't my vibe. I'm not very patriotic, so I really don't want to run around like a German flag. And I think to make like Stripey kind of scrappy, it's not a scrappy project, but scrappy vibes project, you need a light color like the cream and a dirty color, I guess. And so I thought maybe a brown would mix really, really nice with it. So, and I think I really like this upper part, like where it's like cream, yellow, red, brown and dark navy. I think that's the combination I will go with, and I think with these additional 3 colors I will have enough yarn. But the problem is the brown is just a little bit of leftover sock wool I think I have in somewhere in here, which is also superwash, and I would prefer to have the same kind of base as the other colors. So I would need to order 1 skein of this brown, which I'm not amazed by doing, because my local yarn stores don't really carry a non-superwash merino yarn kind of like this. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I mean, I still have 3 weeks until I'm leaving, so I might be able to go to Hamburg before that. And as I haven't explained it yet, the Samsø sweater is a dropped shoulder fingering weight project on 3mm needles, which is also oversized. So that project will take forever. And I thought, where else to knit it as on a vacation where you have unlimited knitting time? Because I think it's not going to be my project of choice in autumn, because I want to knit the cable, the chunky, the squishy autumnal projects, and not a fingering weight stripy project. So I think it's also not that much yarn that I need to take with me, which is great. And it's stripy, so it's kind of entertaining, but it's also something that you can really well knit away on the train, on the pool, at the pool. So I think it's a good project, and I don't know if I will ever come around to knitting it in any other circumstances. So yeah, that's the current plan. And the last thing I'm going to take with me is these. I mean, this is just half of the yarn. So and these are the yarn, or this is the yarn for the Guernsey Genser baby version, which I'm planning on knitting for my nephew, and it's an all-over textured knit, which is the opposite of that stripy Samsø sweater. It's a very engaging knit. It's also very small and transportable, but if I'm getting bored from my 2 stockinette projects, I have this with me, and which is also very great. I have the instructions for it as a little magazine, as Sandnes Garn sells now their patterns, which is great for being outdoors, because you don't need to look at your phone, you don't need to charge your phone and your iPad all the time. You have the chart of that project lying next to you in this little magazine, which I think is also going to be great. This is a ridiculous amount of projects and knitting to take on a 2-week trip, where you actually might want to do something else than knitting. Maybe. But I would rather have options and overpack knitting than not have options, like, to be honest. And it's my holiday. I don't have to do any compromises as a single lady on holiday with grown-up money, so I can just do whatever I want. And if I decide to knit 2 weeks, I can do that. So yeah, these are the things that you will probably see therefore in the next episode if I film after my holiday, because I don't see myself filming in the next 2 weeks. And everything else that I decide to cast on or finish until then is going to be a surprise. I hope you had a really nice summer until now and are still enjoying it. Maybe you are also someone who's going on holiday or going on their summer holiday in autumn. In the moment, I think it's about 40 degrees where I'm going, and I think 25 degrees is my limit. So I'm hoping it will cool down until until September where I'm going, because I'm not made for 30 plus degrees, and I also can't knit in 30 plus degrees. So what's the point then? Yeah. As I mentioned, I really had a really nice and great summer until now, and I don't think that's going to hopefully change. I also, as you have seen, I had a great knitting summer, and I'm really enjoying working through my yarn, and I am very looking forward also to autumn, and probably will film again autumnal knitting plan video, as I have a lot of plans which I probably won't even able to get through as my last 2 planning videos, but it's all fun here, so I don't mind it that much. Planning also is a lot of fun in this hobby, so I don't take my planning too serious as long as I get some things done from my lists or plans. It's all nice. And with that, I will leave you because I filmed over an hour and editing is going to be horrible. And I hope you get outside, enjoy the sun if it's possible. Stay hydrated, use sunscreen, stay in the shade, but get that vitamin D. And with that, I see you in autumn.